And hello, our friends. I know it's been a while since you've seen us. Welcome back to the Understanding Room. As always, I am Mike, and on the other side, I have my big homie from the RGV. Say what's up to the people one time, Odie.
Good evening, guys. Thank you once again, as always, for joining us. We're here wanting to talk to you, wanting to feed you some information. So we'll take it away.
And again, sorry for the delay in programming. I guess you could call it. As we also like Odie and I have said before, we both have lives and we have things going on. So we try to come in together when we can and when we're both able to. But for this episode, I am excited. Odie has some pretty good history for us this week, and it's I think it's going to be great information because it kind of ties into current events that are going on. And speaking of current events, just a list of things that I'm just ready to talk about, including the My Pillow guy. Um, I just have joke after joke for him this week. So, Odie, you want to go ahead and get started with the history piece, bud?
Definitely, Mike. So before we get into more of the history that's gonna play into what we're doing today, I did want to bring up really quick the fact that unfortunately racial violence against our Asian um, brethren is still in the rise, guys. In the first quarter of 2021, we had more attacks than in the whole year of 2022. I'm sorry, 2020. And this is horrible. It's extremely horrible that we're still having to go through this. And I just wanted to go back and talk about an incident from the past that again shows the racial inequality and how these attacks affect us. In the past, we've already spoken about Native Americans being attacked. We've already spoken about, uh, African Americans being attacked, and now I want to speak about our Chinese Americans. And one of the stories that I found was about a Chinese American named Vincent Jen Chin. Vincent Jen Chin unfortunately passed away in 1982, June 23rd, 1982. Now, this guy was actually on his bachelor party. It was his bachelor party. He was supposed to get married 9 days later. And while he was celebrating his bachelor party at a gentleman's club in, you know, in America, in the United States, in Michigan, in Highland Park, Michigan, he got into an altercation with two white men. Both of them were working for the Chrysler plant that was in Highland Park, Michigan, and both of them had been laid off. The Chrysler factory wasn't, producing as many vehicles as it had been, so they had both been laid off. Both of them, one of the two men, it was Ronald Elbins and Michael Nitz, were at the strip club, and they made a comment. Don't know verbatim exactly what the comment was, but something to the effect of, because of you, Asians, we're losing our jobs, something like that. Mr. Chin replied. There was a verbal altercation, and as Mr. Chin was leaving, they beat him with a bat, while Michael Nitz held him. Um, while Ronald Evans beat him with a bat. They beat him so bad that when his family got to the hospital, when his fiance got to the hospital, the nurse told her, look, his brain was dead before he even got here. There's no chance that he's going to live. He was on life support for 4 days and passed away. Now, by the way, there were police that witnessed the crime as it was happening. a police officer that testified stated that Evans swung the bat as if he was aiming for a home run. So it wasn't to hurt him, it was to kill him. What happened with these guys? Well, believe it or not, they didn't even go to trial. They were charged with second-degree murder, and the judge agreed to bring those charges down to manslaughter if they pleaded guilty. Both of them pleaded guilty, and they got, I want you all to hear this. They got a $3,000 fine and 3 years probation. $3,000 fine and 3 years probation. At the time, the president of the Detroit Chinese Welfare Council made a statement, and I agree 100% with him, because he said what they paid was a $3,000 license to kill a Chinese. Again, we keep, go ahead.
It's like they put a bounty. It's like they paid for a bounty.
Yep. It was like, again, we've talked about this before, how my people, the Native Americans, were killed, and you'd get a reward of $10, $15 for the body. These people paid through. It was like if they paid $3,000 to hunt a boar, to hunt, a deer, and killed a man. Got away scot-free. Never did any time for this murder. Guys, this was 1982, 1983. I know that, again, some people keep saying it doesn't exist, but there's the proof. When you have Asian people, if you have Asian people in your community, if you have Asian friends, if you see Asian people out in our communities, give them your support. Because of the last administration, because of the last Cheeto in charge, a lot of them are still having to go through these rise in assaults, and we cannot, as a people, allow that to continue to happen. We cannot, as a people, be okay with it. So let me segue into the other history that I wanted to talk about. One of the things that I always get told is, you trust the government. And I understand all government is going to be shady. I'm not saying that the Biden administration is very forthcoming, but it's about knowing who and when to trust. And so I wanted to talk about two incidents that kind of really, in my opinion, depict the environment and the culture that we're living in today. The first one was actually one that I had never heard of, and it's called Operation Northwoods. So Operation Northwoods was proposed in 1962. This was a proposal made by the U.S. Department of Defense, by the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I want you to hear that. It wasn't made by some crazy, guy selling pillows. It wasn't made by a guy that skin is orange. It was made by the U.S. Department of Defense. And what it proposed was for CIA agents, CIA operatives, or other U.S. government operatives to pose as Cubans and commit crimes in America. Some of the crimes that they proposed, and again, I want you guys to hear this. This isn't like made up. This isn't something that never happened. This is something that could have potentially occurred had it not been rejected by the president. Their proposal was to kill Cuban immigrants in U.S. soil, to sink boats coming from Cuba to the United States, or to hijack planes and bring them down in U.S. soil and blame Cuba. They wanted to start a war with Cuba to take down Fidel Castro, who had just taken power in 1959. Like I mentioned earlier, this actually got all the way to the president. It was John F. Kennedy that shot it down. John F. Kennedy that said, I will not take part of, terrorist attacks in our own nation by the government. But had he not done that, right now we might not know about this. Right now, there might be people that have lost family members because we attacked ourselves. By the way, the person that created the plan, the person that proposed the plan, was a general by the name of Lyman L. Lemonster. And he was the one who created that plan to, again, go to war with Cuba, which leads me to the next part. The second thing that this one I'd heard of before. I'd done a little bit of research before on it, and this one is actually insane because it led us directly to one of the most controversial wars that we've ever had in our country. And it's labeled as the Gulf of Tonkin incident. Sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I'm going to spell it out. Tonkin, Tonkin. And this is what led us to the Vietnam War. So what happened was on August 2nd of 1964, the United States, claimed that the Northern Vietnamese military had shot a torpedo to a U.S. boat, USS Maddox. We followed that up and claimed that on August 4th of 1964, there was another attack by the Northern Vietnamese government or army military to another American vessel. These two attacks were what justified going into war. These two attacks were the reason we went to war in Vietnam. Well, guess what? After we got out of the war, and after some documents became declassified, it turns out the August 2nd incident with the USS Maddox, the only thing that happened, there was no proof that a torpedo had ever been shot. The only thing that happened is apparently from the Vietnamese side, no one even knows if it was a military. All they know is that from the Vietnamese, from the mainland, someone shot a gun. One bullet hit the ship, and oh my goodness, we claimed there was a torpedo. Not just that, guys, but the second incident. There was actually a study done in 2005. In 2005, there was a study done by the National Security Agency. I'm sorry. It was declassified in 2005. So don't know exactly when the study was done, but it was declassified in 2005. And it revealed that the incident on August 4th that we claimed we were attacked, there wasn't even a Northern Vietnamese ship anywhere near. So the US government completely made up two attacks on US ships to justify a war, to go into war, to go into a war that to this day is so controversial. Um, this is why sometimes it's so important that we make our own research, that we do our own research. And those of you that say, "Oh, we shouldn't trust the government," um, I agree with you to a certain extent, but at the same time, um, you can't trust one side. You can't just view, fake news. The one that has a logo of a fox, but it's fake news. You can't just go with CNN. You can't just go with them. You have to do your own research.
Absolutely. And we've had, like Odie said, there's a lot of things going on, and we all know recently that President Biden has he started evacuating American citizens out of Afghanistan. um, like Odie said, I mean, you can't really hold trust to one side or the other. Um, Everybody wanted the troops to come home. You're getting your wish. It's kind of like the double-edged sword. I mean, it's not the way we wanted it, um, but it is what it is. We we saw and watched this entire country get taken over in less than a week, and now we're stuck with our hands kind of in the bind of the these are people who were just a year or 2 years ago was our enemy, and now we have to try to play nice with them while they stabilize the country that they took over by force. So it's it's been a lot of gray area things going on. But Odie, just wanted to get your take on a an event that happened a couple weeks, like was it last weekend or the weekend before, where your good pal Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, held his symposium. This 3 day extravaganza where he's going to show the proof of all the voter fraud that's happened in all these states. So, Odie, before we even get into that, what is your take on that? Why do you think, or do you, again, I know I've asked you this before, are you still, I'm still wondering if this man has been duped out of tens of millions of dollars, or is he playing along with the rest of the Republican puppets who are pretending that COVID is not really a thing, or it's not as bad as they say it is, when you got, steals on the wheels, as you like to call him. He just got back from being quarantined while getting antibiotic treatment in 24-hour around the clock here, but whatever. And then you got your boy Death Santis down in Florida killing people off. Do you think that Lindell was duped, or do you think he's just playing a role like the rest of these idiots?
I don't think he was duped. If he was duped, he duped himself. You see, that's the and I know we've mentioned this before, but that's the tactic from the previous Cheeto in charge. He knows how to motivate people very well. And there's two things in this world that motivate people more than anything. There's love. The love for your children is going to make you do extraordinary stuff. The love for your partner is going to make you do extraordinary stuff. And the other thing that motivates people is hate, and he knows how to tap into hate. And the hate for your worst enemy is going to motivate you to do some stuff. The
Now,
hate.
question is it motivate or manipulate?
It's a little bit of both. Once I point you in the right direction, then you're going to keep going on your own.
On January 6th?
Yep. They were pointed on the right direction. I mean, that's exactly what he did. He told them, point here. That's where you got to go. You got to go to Congress. Remember, he blamed it all on Pence, and they listened like the good, little uh, uh, arrows they are, and they went straight to it. And that's what I see with Lindell. Lindell, he just wants the same hate rhetoric from his buddy, Cheeto, to keep moving forward. And because of that, he keeps fooling himself into thinking this is the best option for me. That's the same reason why, even though he throws him under the bus whenever he wants to, that's the reason why hate groups follow Trump. We all remember when he said, stand back and stand by. So what he's telling you is, I don't need you right now. So, I'm going to throw you away, but wait till I need you. It's like that, again, it's like that guy that's in the friend zone with that girl that he's emphatically in love with. Every time she says, I need a shoulder, he's there. But whenever she gets the new Romeo, bye. And that's exactly what's going on, man. But oh man, I didn't watch this stupid thing. The only clip I watched was when he found out that the lawsuit against it was gonna be allowed to move forward. I thought that was so poetic that for months he was claiming that Dominion committed fraud, and he was allowed to speak his voice, to speak his poison live on air. And how poetic was it that he finds out on air that his words have consequences?
Well, let me fill in what happened prior to all of that. I again didn't watch the entirety of it because, one, I don't really watch fake news like Newsmax, but I did see clips of it and other I guess you would call it satirical remedies of said symposium. And the very first thing that happens is he claims to lose internet connection because he's being hacked by the Chinese. So this is the first thing that happens. This is right out the gate. They haven't even started talking about what I got, what I'm going to bring to you. It's, give us a few more minutes, folks. We are trying to stop Chinese hackers. You've already lost your crowd, bro. So this goes on. So the first night, he goes on this tangent about basically saying something, denying something that he said on live television prior to that, and then he reads tweets of people saying it, and then he denies it on live on the same stage. He said at the beginning, he's everyone else can go eat, you guys can go eat, but I'm not going to eat. I'm going to stay right here for all 3 days if I have to. Then someone tweets that making fun of him. Then he turns around and says, "When did I say that?" So therefore, that's why I keep asking the question, was he duped, or is he really a part of it?
Look, he's not stable to begin with. And since he's not stable, since this other guy is pointing him in the right direction, man, it's because I don't know, man. I don't think he's being duped. I think he knows what's going on. He's just going with it because he likes the attention, and he likes the hate that the previous administration brought. So when you love chaos, you're gonna support chaos. You know, and that's what he does. I mean, even in that one, we here we are, August 25th, and I know we said this, and uh, I'm sorry, guys, we couldn't do this earlier. We've been really really busy, but we said we were going to bring it up when it happened. August 13th came and went. August 13th was that deadline that you know Pillow Guy gave for Trump going back into the White House. It's August 25th. No one's mentioned it before. Again, I mean, no one's mentioned it since. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the cult leaders, the Nine Gate guy that claims, um, oh, on this day, the world is going to end. And then the day goes by and he says, oops, my bad. That one killed a lot of his followers. But how many cult leaders, how many fake preachers, prophets out there haven't prophesied the end of the world and we're still here? This guy's prophesying the rise of his, you know, cheddar colored Messiah, and it never happened.
But also, you got to remember, he said August or September ish. But then he said again that it'd probably be September, October, maybe no October, November. Well, they do at the end of the year.
We'll keep running through those dates, man. Just like we've been, just like I love history, so I've been keeping up with all those end of the world. The last one was in 2012. Now there's people saying, "Oh my God, the pandemic is a sign of it," and "Oh my God, it's not gonna happen," because all those people are again trying to use what motivates you to follow them. Again, we said there are strong motivators: love, hate, fear. So they're going to use one of those three to try to motivate you.
Yep. And it's all a distraction if you really think about it. As we continue this back and forth debate about masks and vaccines and all this other stuff, people's right to fundamentally vote are being just cut out from under them. You know what I mean? Like like nothing. And Texas being one of the states that's happening in, so much so where the Texas Democratic like Democratic leaders had to go to Washington D.C. to ask for help because of how fast the Republicans here in the state of Texas are moving these bills to suppress to suppress people's rights to vote and their ability to vote. And not everyone's, mostly the poor and people who are a minority or predominantly going to vote Democratic. And the way that they're doing this is by putting these things into law. And once it becomes law, it's going to be hell and high water to try to get that law thrown out. Now, interestingly enough, I have recently discovered that prior to the last election in 2020, there were two men. Well, recently these two men were arrested for sending out robocalls to predominantly Black and Hispanics, people in these communities, basically telling them that if they do mail-in ballot voting, that it will give law enforcement access to their information and that they will start searching up old warrants for you to come after you. Yeah. So, like Odie said, it's a fear campaign. It's a scare tactic to keep people from voting. And this whole time, what have we been hearing, Odie? Voter fraud, voter fraud, voter fraud, voter fraud, voter fraud, voter fraud, voter fraud. And I still remember when Rudy Giuliani stood outside this place in Pennsylvania, and like, you think we're fools? Oh, you almost think we're fools. They think you're fools. Yeah, you're a fool. You got duped by this dude who you thought was going to have your back, and now he's not even returning your phone calls, bro. And now you are in all this debt from paying defamation lawsuits taken up for this guy who's not, and he's grifting in money. Money is coming in left and right for him, but he's not picking up your phone call, returning your phone call, saying, "Hey man, you know that favor I was doing for you? I could kind of use your help financially because they come home." Now, Mike Lindell is next. He just doesn't know it. I mean, Rudy Giuliani was just like this guy in the beginning. He was the front man, like, we're gonna prove the fraud. Going into like state like hearings with evidence and affidavits that no one could see ever of all this proof of voter fraud, these people who's testified and swore under oath. Meanwhile, none of those statements were under oath. But I digress. And he's talking about proof after proof after proof that he's willing to bring out and show everybody. So everybody's like, okay, give it to us. Show us. Where is it? And he's like, not yet. Why? Well, I'm scared if I show it, someone's going to come after me. Who's going to come after you, Mr. Giuliani? Antifa. Black Lives Matter. Why would a group who wants police to stop beating and killing them come after you for voter fraud? Do you think we're fools? Yeah. Yes, you're an idiot. You're sweating out your shoe polish, looking like Mike Lindell's older brother. It's ridiculous. Like, could you imagine Mike Lindell and Rudy Giuliani at the same like rally? Like,
Oh man, them and what was that lawyer's name? The other lawyer's name, the female lawyer. It was just as crazy as them.
Sidney Powell.
Was it Powell?
I think it was. Oh, she's been like dipping and dodging too. Where's she been? Isn't she getting sued by Dominion? Didn't she get sued, or did she get sued?
That's why she hasn't made a statement, because she right now the only one being sued by Dominion that's still yapping is Lindell, man. And I'm telling you, if he's not careful, he's the one that's going to pay the brunt of that lawsuit.
Oh, they gonna get. Oh, they are for sure going to get him, just like they got Giuliani.
Yep, and dude, I don't know how Cheeto deals with them. I don't know how he could stand a meeting with all three of them. But you know, it's
kiss his ass the whole time.
Yeah, you got a point. Man, and the worst part about it is they keep succeeding. Like, I don't understand. I know I've said this before, but that's the one thing that baffles me. The one thing that baffles me is how are they successful at making people follow them? Like, you would think people would look at someone that's articulate, someone that has, you know, some level of intelligence and say, let me follow you. But no, they look at these people that look like they're about to get hit by a train, or look like they stole Ron Jeremy's mustache from the 70s, or look like, you know, they have a really bad weave on, and those are the people I want to follow. Those are the people that...
Time out. You do have two very prominent, young, articulate people who are out there spreading their message too. Now, let's be fair. You still got Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So the future of the Republican Party is the lady that believes in Jewish space lasers and the guy who will probably be in jail in a little while.
Oh, real soon, because his buddy is singing like a songbird, and he's producing receipts.
Yep. That's why he hasn't been arrested yet. This guy that I call it the entitlement confidence, the entitlement confidence that you're so confident just because of your entitlement. It for the this is the way I see him. Um, I've been in management now for 9.5 years in the place where I'm at. I've been a trainer for 7.5 of those years. So in my time, I've let go, I've released quite a number of agents, quite a number of employees. And there was one employee that I will never forget this person. Consistently tardy, consistently tardy. And so I'm about to let her go. I'm about to have her sign her, termination paperwork. And she looks at me and says, "You can't fire me." And I said, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "I'm pretty. You can't fire pretty people." Mind you, this is for a customer service job over the phone where no one's going to see your face. So maybe if you were retail, maybe your looks might play into it. But oh, that girl was not. I just smiled and said, "Well, watch me. Let's walk you out." This is the way that Matt Gaetz acts. Matt Gaetz acts as if just because he was born who he ain't gonna go to jail. And that might protect you for a while. I mean, that protected what was his name?
Epstein.
Epstein for a good while, but you aren't Epstein. Epstein had brains. He was evil, he was a sociopath, but he had brains. Matt Gaetz, you don't even have good hair, bruh.
Well, you're forgetting about the other one.
Oh, Lord. Green, green, green. Don't get me started on green, man. Again,
Or she, like, okay, again, for those that don't know, I am originally from Georgia. I'm originally from Toombs County, Georgia. Luckily, nowhere near the district in which this woman represents, because I highly doubt she would make it. But when 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 someone like that, who is just blatantly just speaking just nonsense, complete nonsense, it kind of makes me look like the education department of my state, because man, these kids are suffering. They're suffering. They're allowing people like that to represent them in their districts, in their state. And that is scary. That is. She is on. Isn't she on one of like the school committees or something like that? That is.
yep.
She doesn't believe in the Holocaust. She doesn't believe like Sandy Hook was a hoax. Like, children died. You like seriously? And she gets to make decisions on the school budgets in a district in Georgia, who already is not ranked very high nationally. And then you wonder why.
And the worst part of it is that's the way the world sees us. Can, can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I might have lost you for a second. I don't know if you heard what I said, but that's the way the world sees us. They see us through the eyes of these people, uh, and they gauge us.
These are the people that represent us and make and that write our laws. People like her. She in charge of an education budget of a state. How?
It it's the ramification of the previous administration. We've got to deal with it now. And you know what? Now that you're saying that, let's talk. Like, this has been bothering me, man. It's been bothering me for a couple of weeks, and I know you mentioned it a little earlier, so I want to get into it. We'll come back and make some more fun of my pillow. We'll make him cry on his own pillow. But um, the, what's going on in Afghanistan? You know, everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people have been giving Biden a lot of flack for that. A lot of people have been blaming Biden. Um, uh, a lot of politicians have been coming out, blaming this administration. I even saw an ad on YouTube by the, leftovers of the Cheeto years, blaming Biden for what's going on in Afghanistan. But oh, how quickly people forget that Cheeto wanted us out by April, by May.
Not to mention, he was the one that signed a deal with the Taliban, giving them, basically telling them, hey, as long as you don't like attack our people, we'll get out of here. Essentially, you made a deal. You were going to invite them to Camp David on 9/11. Like, so this is something. Okay, so now that you're bringing this up, this is something that's been kind of scary to me too. So ever since this Trump sent his little lackey over to Doha to sign this agreement with the Taliban, and as soon as that happened, capital after capital after capital after capital in each province of Afghanistan started to fall to the Taliban. Now, why would Trump make a deal with a group that was going to do something like, I don't know, take over the government, while at the same time talking about January 6th was just a normal tourist day?
Don't forget, he also released 5,000 Taliban prisoners. So we're over here saying, how could they take over the whole country so quickly if you give them 5,000 soldiers back?
That went straight back to fighting. And then he released a top Taliban official in the peace deal, in the Doha deal. Now this dude is over there telling people, "We're gonna be good, we're gonna chill," but at the same time, they're telling Americans, "Hey, I better be out of here on the 31st, or there's gonna be some consequences." And if you don't take their threat serious, ISIS is already saying, "Hey, we about to pull up. Y'all better be out of the region before we get there." So you got the Taliban that has all new pretty little weapons and gadgets that has been left behind because the Afghan forces just said, some of them even just took off their uniforms and went to go fight with the Taliban that day. Literally. Took off their uniforms and was like, I'm with y'all now. Didn't even fight. So you got them. Then you got the Islamic State that's coming to Afghanistan. It's not going to be good. But
Now,
I agree with you. President Biden is taking a lot of flack for something that was started by a previous administration. And as we all saw in January, he left the White House before Biden even got there. So again, a guy who didn't lose the election voluntarily left before the guy who's fraudulently elected and put in place got to the White House. Just all right, I'm good.
now, look, guys. Uh, Even when this agreement was signed, when this treaty was made, Trump's own security advisor came out and said, "This is a surrender agreement. We're telling the Taliban and Al Qaeda that we've surrendered, and that they're the ones that are going to win this." Look, and for people that say, "Well, Biden could have done something different," here's the problem: when President Obama was in the White House, we had 100,000 troops in Afghanistan. When President Biden took over, there was only 3,500 troops. So his only options are send more or get back what's left. If he had sent more, then what is the criticism he would have gotten? If he had sent more, then the same people that are criticizing him for what's going on right now would be saying, "Oh, look at him. Look at him. He's going to kill more Americans." So now the only other option he has is, let's take everybody back. Let's finish what Cheeto started. And yet we're still blaming it on him.
Mind you, he's trying to get them out of there while the Taliban is pulling up and taking over crates of weapons, tons of of communications gear, drones, Humvees, machine guns, like all types of equipment that they now have at their disposal, with an additional 5,000 that was released, and with ISIS coming to assist. Literally, what choice did this man have? You know,
Apart from starting World War III and nuking them, there's really not much he can do.
that's exactly. And I'm pretty sure that President Biden does not want to go to those links when there can be other means that can be had with this. Um, but again, like Odie said, that the majority of the blame being placed on President Biden, which while I understand everyone's frustration and grief and all those other things, um, being over there and serving in Afghanistan, I understand, and I do um, feel feel for the interpreters and their families and everyone that's over there, because the Taliban, they're I really just hate to say it, but they're those people are in danger, and the women, not specifically the women and little girls, but also those who helped us over there, who were interpreters, who were, giving us information, or who was, giving us services, and those people are in danger just for helping, so that way they can have a way to provide for their families. That's how they were making their money. It wasn't anything to do with picking sides or anything like that. These people are doing what they have to do to provide for their families, and sometimes it ain't pretty. Um, so I feel for them. I continue to pray for them, and I just hope for a peaceful solution to all of this. because shedding more blood is not gonna make any of this better. War makes people different, and I guess that's the best way you can say it. It changes people. It does things to people that it shouldn't do. But again, for Trump to secretly go over and create this deal in Doha, and well, not Trump specifically, sent his lackey over, and I'm going to continue to call him his lackey because this guy could have easily been like, I am not going to go make a deal with the Taliban. Like, that's the Taliban. We have sent people over to die trying to stop these people for 20 years. And now all of a sudden you want to have a sit down and negotiate?
And what's funny to me is that they always want to say he was hard on these guys. Oh, he was hard on Putin. You don't even know he was harder on Putin than Obama. Oh, he was president. They put him in. They Photoshop his face on the body of Rambo and say that that's how he was with the Taliban. No, he wasn't. Having a sit down with these people, giving them everything they want, is not being hard on them. For someone that claims to be the ultimate negotiator, he released 5,000 of their prisoners for, what was it, 1,000 of ours? He gave them he signed the documents that said we were going to walk out of Afghanistan and let them do whatever they wanted. This was against the wishes of the Afghan government. This was against the wishes of his own advisors.
The Afghan government didn't even know about it until after it was done.
Yep. And when they found out about it, they wanted him to not release the 5,000 prisoners, and he said, "Nah, I already signed. I already made the deal. I'm letting them go."
The deal,
but this is
they made it over in Doha, in Pakistan, not even in Afghanistan. He met him in Pakistan. So the Afghan government had no idea about it. It didn't even know what was happening until after it was done, signed, sealed, and delivered to the Taliban. Hands were shaken, all of that.
Yep. And now, again, look, I'm not trying to justify. We still don't know if Biden's going to be a good president or not. He hasn't been at the job. He's still cleaning up the messes from the previous dude. So I'm not justifying him. I can't gauge him yet, but if we're going to put blame on someone, then we need to learn and we need to do our own research to know who the hell the blame needs to be on. Going back to Lindell, I'm going to show the proof. 3 days came and went. He said he was going to stay there without taking one single rest. What proof did you see any proof? I didn't see any proof.
So he presented some information. It's basically a black screen with numbers just running up. And the cyber expert that he brought in told him that this is nothing. That was day 2 of the 3-day symposium.
And for those of you that don't realize what Mike is saying, that's like my mama telling me I'm pretty. She gonna tell me I'm pretty because she my mama. When you guys can clearly see I'm not.
But here's the thing.
Of course.
People really paid to go to this symposium to, you know, see this mountain of evidence that he claims that he had, just to come up with nothing. So now my question is this, Odie. Here's my question for now. Since Mike Lindell has basically busted with his theory, his proof, as you can say, do you think that I don't even want to call it a MAGA base because it's just not even MAGA. I just want to call. I just want to insult them, but at the end of the day, that doesn't make things any better. So these people who were, I guess you can say, coerced into believing these things, right? Do you think after this failed reinstallment of Donald Trump, that these people will be like, maybe there's some sort of reality here that we should probably be seeing, and that, you know, maybe these guys are just fooling us. This is after they've been proven that the money that they sent for the Save America campaign was fraud. After they now see that Rudy Giuliani was sued and Dominion won their lawsuit against him, now they're going after everyone else that's lied on them. After the Arizona's audit basically has shown nothing, they've finally come to their conclusion. They still haven't released any of the information, but if they had something, they would have released it by now. So I'm going to say that's all BS. I mean, I can go on and on and on. So with all this stuff that's falling on its flat on its face, do you think that at least some of these people are like, maybe, maybe there's something afoot here?
So before we go on, you're gonna love this one. They're not the MAGA anymore. Now we're gonna call them the Cheeto Heads.
I can do it.
Yeah. Do I think they're gonna change? Yesterday.
I don't mean change. I know they're not going to change their ways, but do you think now that this proof is showing itself that they will not necessarily change, but come to some sort of like reality of like, okay, it's proven that everything that we were told was basically BS. It's time for us to move forward to build our country.
No. Just yesterday, I had a guy tell me that even with everything, Donald Trump is still his hero. What they're going to do is they're going to, with everything that they're finding out, what they're going to do is they're going to try to steal the next election. Their mentality is already on Trump 2024.
Right. So that's my. Do you think that now they're like, okay, it's time to put this one behind us. The election wasn't stolen. We're not going to be able to reinstall Trump. We should just wait for 2024. Do you think that they've come to this conclusion, or you think they're still stuck on the wait? You know what? We have to find another way to install Trump and get Biden up out of here.
Oh no. They're past that. I'm sure that more than half of them. I'm sure there's still going to be a couple that are going to hang on to that belief that he's going to come back mystically, magically, mythically into the White House. But most of them are looking forward to 2024, man. Most of them are already planning on how to steal that election.
Well, so now that you say that, I want to say last week, the Department of Homeland Security issued a warning stating to all states to protect their capitals because of a influx of violence from these far-right militia groups and angry Trumpers because of Trump not being reinstated. Do you believe that they're angry about him not being in, and that's what's going to spark the fire for them to start attacking?
I'm sure that some of them will be. I'm sure that some of them are angry that, their wish upon a star didn't come true. But the majority of them aren't focused on that. The majority of them are going to move on to 2024, and that's what I'm scared of. That's when I'm really scared because barred the fact. I mean, maybe if this guy dies by then, that's the only thing that's going to prevent. There's two outcomes. Um, he steals the election and the left goes wild, or he loses the election and the right goes wild.
So, okay, so my next question is, so you think Trump is going to run again in 2024 after all of the evidence that has come up with, him bribing the Department of Justice, bribing secretaries of state, bribing, Congress and, Mike Pence and all this other stuff? Do you think that if he does run, that will help or harm him in his next campaign?
That will not hurt him one iota. That will not hurt him one bit because this is what they're doing. They have I forgot what they're called, the things that the blinders, blinders that the horses use, and this is what they're doing. Remember what I told you at the beginning. As long as I point them in the right direction, that's the way they're going to take off. That won't hurt him one bit because every single one of his supporters justifies those actions, which is hilarious because had Hillary been caught doing any of that, had Biden been caught doing any of that, had President Obama been caught doing any of that, man, they would be ready with a pitchfork. January 6th style. They'd have the what is it called? To hang them up already in front of the yard. January 6th style, Mike Pence. But when it comes to Trump, those blinders, man, they keep them on and they're gonna keep chugging, chugga. I think I can. And they ignore everything that's there.
So the last census, the 2020 census, showed that for the first time since 1907 or 1917 or something like that, that whites are now starting to become the minority in America due to a growing population of Hispanics and mixed race people. With all the voter suppression and stuff like that going on, with this also huge number of I don't even want to call them minority anymore, African Americans, mixed race, and those who were previously the minority starting to grow in number. Do you think that despite the voter suppression, that there's still a possibility that even with the harshness of the voting and the potential and the conditions that they will have to go through, that Democratic or liberal voters will still be able to have a voice and get their voices heard?
All right. So my hope is yes. My hope. It's my heart that says yes. My brain says it's going to be very difficult. The best way that I can put it is minority is a mindset. We've been labeled left and right by other names. And minority is one of those labels that we've been given because it is a mindset. As long as we keep on thinking that we are a minority, as long as we don't realize the power behind our voice, it'll be stifled.
Well, okay. So Republican candidates have received fewer votes in the last 7 of the 8 presidential elections. Um, that is a testament to the diversity culture coming together. Um, with okay, I know how you said earlier how love and hate you can pretty much motivate a crowd with either, right? Well, with so much uh, like hate for Donald Trump, the turnout in 2020 was essentially, I mean, one of the biggest in a long time. Do you think that with everything else that's going on, the continuation of the Trump talk and rhetoric, with the fear of Donald Trump coming back and reigning, or someone Donald Trump like let's say DeSantis running, do you think that those numbers will still try to show up in force like they did in the last election?
Again, man, I hope so. Like that is the reason why it is so important that we don't let only one side of the voice be heard. You know, Trump's poison is extremely powerful. Trump's rhetoric is extremely uh, digestible to these people, and so what I think will help us is people like you and me. We can't depend, sadly, and this is the part that breaks my heart. We don't have anyone on the Democratic side that has the charisma, that has the ability to give a message that can be digested by other Democrats and liberals the way that he can. The only thing that we can base ourselves on is us, the people. We our voice. He has one voice. We have many. And if we can get the message out, then definitely we will still show up in numbers. But it all depends on the ability of us to keep pushing forward the mentality, the mindset that we are one. That's what he's been able to do. He's been able to unite everyone that has this hate, everyone that has this desire to go back to Jim Crow, and they have become one voice. We aren't. Even to this point, you still see, you know, just this morning we were talking about the Democrats, how the conservative Democrats are not wanting to vote with the liberals, and how because of their slight margin, you know, their agendas may not pass, you know, and may not become law, even though they have the majority and they have the president. But it's all because we haven't been able to come together and be one voice like he is.
So my last question for the Q&A is, so a Colorado Republican official, voting official, she is under criminal investigation for leaking voting system passwords to far right wing websites. Um, here's the kicker: this same official was one of the speakers at Mike Lindell's symposium. Now, with this and other types of fraud that they have proven and exposed and brought out, why is it, or how is it that Republican ran states are still able to get away with passing such stringent voter suppression laws when it's proven that the only fraud that's been found are by Republican officials?
And see, it's all what's that saying? It's not what like. Unfortunately, it's not what you can prove. It's what people believe. And the more they say, nope, nope, it didn't happen. Nope, it didn't happen. Nope, it didn't happen. That's the way it is. Again, the best, I know I used this metaphor earlier, but I used it for a reason. It's that person that's been in love. And I'm not going to lie, I'm one of these people that was so in love with someone when I was a puppy, still in high school, that she could have been making out with another dude in front of me, and I would have believed that she was being, faithful. And that's exactly what's going on right here. These people see their demigod stealing money from them, taking money from them. Um, they see this, all these reports. They see that his cronies are the ones that are stealing, cheating, lying, but because they're getting what they want from him, they're willing to believe a lie, a blatant lie. And as long as we keep allowing it to happen, I mean, Steels on Wheels said that he was gonna keep. He said, y'all want to stay in Washington, that's fine. I'm going to keep calling these special sessions, and I'm going to keep costing my constituents more and more money and spending more and more tax dollars until you get here. And he still has the audacity to say, and you are to blame. No, he's the one who's calling the sessions. He's the one who can stop when he wants to. The only one to blame is him. That's like, again, that's like that lover telling you, I cheated because you didn't love me, because you didn't care about me, because you didn't give me enough attention. Nah, boo, come on. It goes back to control, and it goes back to that abusive relationship syndrome that they're living in.
Uh, Thank you, Odie, for your insight on my questions. I know it's a lot to get thrown at you. So here's some feel good news for you. Um, both we talked earlier about how Texas and Florida, they were mandating. Well, they're not mandating masks or anything like that. Trying to pass information about vaccines, or they're not trying to pass any correct information about vaccines and masking. Um, School districts are starting to basically tell both of these governors to basically shove it up their rear ends, because um, county after county after county after county, their ISDs are starting to um, step up and say, you know what, we're not risking these children because you want to have this political, basically, circle jerk. Um, we're educators. We're supposed to first and foremost be protective of these children and make sure that their well-being is taken care of. And I applaud these heads of these school districts for standing up and doing the right thing to protect our children. Um, and I will continue to stand and support with them, and with their with who we will hopefully be able to get enough parents together and you know hit some sort of mandate or some sort of reciprocity for all of this. Um, but in the meantime, I'm just very happy that there are still people out here who are actually trying to look out for other people, including our children. So I just wanted to give that little feel good news for those of us out there with children, and we will do anything for our children. Anybody that knows me knows that I will go through any wall for my children, like the Kool-Aid Man, to get to whoever is trying to do them harm. And I'm a very large dude, and I probably could do it. uh, Again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who comes and tunes into us. I just want to give you guys that appreciation. Odie, do you have anything else, bud? Any other information that you want to give out for tonight?
Not at all. Not at all. Um, uh, yeah, I think you covered it wonderfully with that, with talking about those school districts. And for any of you that is a parent, I don't have any kids of my own, but you know, my employees do, and I see what they're going through. I've seen some of my employees crying because they're afraid for their children. So yes, definitely, we'll continue to stand for those people that are in charge of the school districts, that are fighting back to the whims of these men that have no concern for their kids. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, you know, don't take our word at face value. Do your research. Look at your history. Go over our past, guys. Remember, we love our country and we want it to be great. But in order to make it great, we all have to know where we came from.
Uh, Absolutely. And finally, I just want to say again, thank you to all of our fans tuning in, those who continue to watch us. And if you can, at some point, try to get some kind of understanding about what's going on in Afghanistan. These people are hardworking people just like you and I. There are women over there who are close to having degrees and finishing trainings and scholarships and all this other stuff. And now they are basically back to square one to where they're just at the mercy of the Taliban. We have to keep all these people in our thoughts and our prayers. Um, find any sort of foundation online that you can, try to get some donations to. Anything can help. These people really do need our help. Also, let's keep in mind the people over in Haiti and in the Caribbean. Um, got hit with a devastating earthquake, and then what was it a tropical storm or was it a hurricane that came through right after? I mean, these people are suffering. Real people are suffering out here, and I'm going to go on a tangent one last time before I get out of here. But the thing that really irks my nerve is the fact that things like this are happening in the world. People are losing their lives. People are losing their real freedoms. People are stuck trying to do whatever they can for their children and for their families. And here we are in this country where we have everything we could ever want. And we're complaining about a mask. This, this is the debate in this country. While people in other countries are worried about this militant group that just took over their entire country, when there's people who just were ravaged by a seven or something magnitude earthquake, and then a tropical storm comes right after that. Like, how are we not more grateful about what we have? How? This is the time for us to say, you know what, let's put all of this extra crap aside, do what we need to do to protect each other and go help other people. Because those that are on the right are so Bible ready to thump you with a Bible, but what does the Bible say? Love each other and take care of your fellow man. Now is the time for us to do that. I am my tangent. But thank you again for joining us. Tune in to us next time, guys. I'm sure we will have some more fun-filled knowledge ahead. And, to everyone, please stay safe. If you're not vaccinated, please get the vaccine. I got mine. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm alive. And it had nothing to do with why I've been absent the last few weeks. So there's that. I have other things going on in life. I have a 5-month-old baby that's attached to me at the hip, more so than his mom. So, so yeah. Please, people, do your own research. Get your own facts about the vaccine, and stop letting other people sway you on where to go. Be your own person. Think for yourself, but at the same time, have compassion for other people. There are people out here who are immunocompromised, who need you to stay away from them, who need you to stay masked up, or respect the fact that they're wearing a mask and keep your distance from them. You know what I mean? So all the videos out there of people getting heckled for wearing a mask. If you see something, do something. I'm not saying say something. Step up for these people, because, and I'm not saying go out there and be a mob or anything like that. I'm just saying stand up for other people that can't stand up for themselves, because that's how we start to break this whole gravitational pull toward let's being ugly to each other. There's no need for that. There's enough going on in the world for that. So again, be good to each other, and remember that, like we always say, we don't want to stand in front of you. We don't want to stand behind you. We want you to stand next to us in our fight to bring social justice and equality, equity, and freedom for everyone that we all so justly deserve, that everyone claims that we all have. Anyway, let's all get to it. Again, my tangent is over. My name is Mike, and my co-host is Odie, and this was The Understanding Room. Thank you so much for joining.